I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 million every week. I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 billion every week. I wanna be a billionaire. Billionaire. I wanna be a billionaire. Billionaire.
Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Sleepers for Billionaires, the podcast. I am your host, Jonni Vegaz. Now today, I got a special guest on my show, ladies and gentlemen. You're in for a treat, so take some notes. This man is, an engineer, former producer. I hope he gets back into producing because his beats was crazy, and he owned the owner of Executive Sound Studios. And just one of my good best friends, man, ladies and gentlemen, James Woods, aka James the Mix Surgeon. What's going on, baby?
What's going on, man? Jonni Vegaz. Hey, Sleepers for Billionaires, man. That's damn near true. That because I I don't sleep yet. Like as much as everyone's like, hey, relax, you're doing your thing. You need to chill. Nah, man. It's a long way to the top, man. I'll just keep climbing, man.
You got to, man. You got to. I mean, you just recently had heart surgery, man. How you healing up? And because I see you still busy at the same time. So how are you balancing the whole recovery as well as keeping up with work stuff?
Well, I was a big fan of X-Men, so I watched a lot what Wolverine was trying to do, and I tried to do the same thing. That's nah, man. The cool thing is none of the heart procedures were evasive. So the healing process was really only about 2 weeks, even though it was 3 different procedures, which, it was definitely an experience. It was tough. Definitely the 3-4 days I was in the hospital felt a lot longer than it really was. But the cool thing is now I'm out, I'm moving around. And the cool thing about being an engineer, is, you get to sit in the chair and press record. What's the difference between doing that and sitting watching TV, healing? So, hey, I get back to the money, man. And I got the okay from the heart doctors, of course. So I would not, do anything that's completely, idiotic,
Right,
I don't need to experience that trip twice. So, I talked to them and they gave me the okay, as long as I didn't, like you said, is stand or lifting anything. I just hit record, man. And just sat there and mix. So it feels good to be back to work.
Awesome, man. You recently just got some plaques, right?
Yeah, about a year ago. Actually, the songs were done almost a year prior to that because it just took a while for them to build plaques. I have 2 album gold records, and the single I did on one of the albums just recently went platinum last year. So yeah, man, that was a great feeling. And, I know it's been a while since anybody in our city has reached those kind of accomplishments, man. And it's to just pull it off as an engineer with a studio that, I can't just get up and move. It's different from, producers where they can send beats and, or just as an engineer, you can travel and go and achieve those things, but actually have something come to the city and get it done there. Not just, oh, I'm going to come and record a feature, but I'm coming here to record my single for my album. So it is a great feeling. And, like I said, man, it took a long time to get there, but I look at it from our standpoint in the city where we're at, it's bigger than just, how many plaques and stuff you can get. It's just reaching that level of success to where now you can make a lot more moves now. You can get in different circles and now the networking is, vastly.
You got the credit.
Yeah. You got the stamp of approval, man.
Sometimes
getting some of the, you already know, man, being out in LA, some of them clubs, you got to have that stamp to get in.
That's a fact, man. Just credit goes a long way, especially in this town back in LA where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? They kind of, they just put more respect on your name. It shows you actually did some work, that's recognized by the elites, so to speak. So, right. Congrats to you on that. You know what I'm saying? And I know, like you said, man, it was a long journey before you got the plaque. Congratulations, by the way. And that's what I want to touch on, this marathon that we're in. We all take different roads to achieve the success and get to the finish line of this marathon. But with you, I want to talk about the beginning when you actually decided that you wanted to be an engineer and how that road was until this point, up to this point. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, did you go to school for being an engineer? You know, did you want to be an engineer in the very beginning, or did you want to rap like everybody else? You know, how did that all start out?
Yeah, actually, it did start off as me trying to be a rapper. And I mean, it was a fun little phase that, you know, I went through.
What was your rap name?
Oh, no, I can't say that online, man. You can embarrass me, man.
Come on, I need the exclusive, man. You know, you are like, and I never told you this. You're like you're the top 5 most important people in my life. You know, I got God, got my mother, got my girl, got my family. They fit into one, and then my engineer, and that's you. You know, I gotta get the exclusive.
Appreciate it.
What was that? Give it to me.
Just to keep in mind of the time frame, so you're not thinking there's anything that happened recently. This was back from 99, 2000 up until, you know, about the 2008 range. No, actually a little bit before that. I'd say 2007 range is when I kind of started transitioning. So the rap name was actually Little James.
Okay.
With a Z. But of course I had a battle name that I didn't come up with, but somebody just kind of called me that in the middle of a battle, and they just thought that was my name. And my battling skills back then were, you know, really, really good, being it just freestyling off the top of your head, because that was the way to do it back then, before, you know, all the battle and rap leagues that are out now, right? They're out now. So a lot of the stuff nowadays are all, you know, written, rehearsed, you know, you could definitely tell. So back then you had to kind of freestyle off the top of your dome, and this is how it was. But yeah, you know, the battle rap name was Saltine, but I don't know if that had to do with my skin color by any chance. But
hey, don't feel so bad, man.
But it was a funny name. It's a funny name that kind of stuck with me around there. But no, the rap name was Lil James, and
don't feel so bad. Mine's was Big Skills.
Big Skills.
Back in the day, I was big and I had skills. It just worked. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man.
Yeah, no, don't congratulate me for that. That shit is whack.
Hey.
But 10 years to 20 years ago, it was popping.
Exactly, man. I mean, it was fun just jumping in it for the first time. You know, you hear an artist that you're inspired by, and you try to like write like them, and, you know, you try to like, oh, okay, we're gonna, you know, and this is the thing. This is how I kind of got into the engineering world too, to try to transit into that. Next question I know you want to ask me is where I lived in Virginia. It was, you know, small town. I lived in between Fredericksburg, Woodbridge, Fairfax, all those like northern Virginia cities close to DC. So obviously DC had a little bit of influence, but where the area where we're at, there was nobody really had studios. So growing up, you know, going through high school and wanting to be this rapper, you know, that you see on TV, you're thinking, you never see the process of like what they go through, because, you know, there was no YouTube back then. It was actually hard to access videos or any kind of footage from stuff like that. So we just always assumed that every rapper just had their own studio, and or they had a producer, or they made the beats. We didn't, you know. We knew that Dr. Dre rapped and he made his own beats. And so we're like, okay, we got to be like Dr. Dre. If I want to be Eminem, we got to be Dr. Dre too. You know what I'm saying? So we got to have a studio. So we were like, really like as a high school, like sophomore in high school, man, we were literally every Christmas and birthday present, we would ask for musical gear, microphones, preamps. Me and my best friend, Jarrett, shout out my boy. He's still up in Virginia, you know, works for Apple now. He's doing his thing, but you know, we both still have that love for music, and he was kind of like the Dr. Dre, I would say, in the very early stages. But like I said, we just started putting our music gear together. We made beats together. You know, he recorded me, I record him, and we just sat there and mixed our stuff, man, and just kind of, you know, good thing MySpace is completely off air, because I don't want y'all hearing how bad my mixes sound, because I don't need any blackmail. I didn't know what I was doing, you know, I was just kind of winging it. And then when YouTube did come into existence, that's when I really did learn a lot about the engineering world, because there was people, you know, sneaking videos in the Full Sail and putting it on YouTube. And you had all these, you know, we call them, you know, the know-it-alls that are out there putting out whatever information. So that's why it's hard to, like, as an engineer, you have to like really find your lane. You can't just copy one style, because it might not be the right style for you or for that artist. So you have to like learn just different techniques. So once you got all these guys online, like telling them this and that, I would just sit there and watch videos. And that's when I actually had one of my very first, like a heart arrhythmia that kind of gave me a scare. I had to put the defibrillator device in me because, I was born with heart issues. So this is like nothing new really. But, so I had some downtime between trying to be an artist and working like a little full-time job to keep money on the table. And so that gave me like a 3-month break. And then that's when, pretty much I learned as much as I could about the engineering side of things, because as an artist, I always knew my biggest flaw was I didn't have the right like mix or the right, recording. My stuff just always sounded like it was recorded on a Home Alone Talk Boy or
Yeah. Talk Boy. Wow. Took me back at that one.
I know. Yeah, I'm getting some grays, man.
Nah, it's all good, man. So I like that you said that you had to, kind of pick your lane as an engineer and learn all these different techniques. So, but I want you to elaborate on that a little bit. What do you mean pick your lane as an engineer? Because for me on the outside looking in, being an engineer is just pretty much, knowing how to mix the levels of each individual's, musical composition and all of that. But, can you touch on that a little bit as far as picking your lane as an engineer? Like, what do you mean?
Picking your lane? Because pretty much I learned a lot of my engineering, like I said, through watching other engineers, watching videos, practicing the technique. So when I say make your lane, I'm not saying like you're just you can create a whole new sound and stuff by learning all these different techniques and experimenting, but also to like, okay, an engineer might like the side chain this certain way, or an engineer might like to compress this and then do this, while another engineer might like the EQ first and then compress. So what you do is you take in all this information and then you try it out for yourself. So once you're like, you know what, I like this way better than his way, it gave me a better sound. I can understand the method, because everything is routing. So it depends on what hits first, and that affects the very next sound module or plugin, and same thing. If you were to swap it around, it will change the sound. Even though it's the same settings, the same plugins, it will change the sound just because of what it does to the audio and how it affects. So like I said, I pretty much just tried just so many different things, especially in that, like I said, that downtime when, first time hopping on Pro Tools and I'm sitting here trying to emulate what I'm seeing on YouTube. I'll be like, you know what? That doesn't really work for me. I don't know. I don't like the way it sounds. It might have sounded good for him. He probably had a better microphone, whatever. I don't know. But I like the way I can move and operate in this guy's plug-in chain. And then I'll learn something from another engineer and I'll be like, wow, I didn't know that compressor did that. That's a more modernized compressor than the one I'm using. So I swapped the compressors out. And over time, you kind of just mess with it. And you just take everything like I learned from different engineers, like I said, watching videos, getting templates downloaded online. Like I did that when I first started. Like I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to download people are putting up their Pro Tools templates. So and figuring it out, like what would make him do that EQ? What would make him? And I just started kind of just what made sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then once I kind of figured out that sound and I kind of molded it to the way I like to hear it, and of course, doing a lot of A/B and making sure I'm not like too low or too high. You listen to other records and then yeah, boom. And then you just kind of find like that lane for the way you like to mix your chain, what you like to tweak and from there, it's just tweaking after that. You don't have to do too much swapping out unless a certain plugin gives you a certain sound that you're looking for. You might be like, you know what? This person has a very, like a squeaky voice. I need this compressor to fatten it up. But,
Nah, I get you that. Shit, that's what's up, man. Well, I mean, now I know you spend a lot of time engineering and, you got you had your heart surgery and all of that, and you're dealing with other engineers, with your business you have. What do you do on your downtime? Like, how do you kind of balance your work-life balance? Like, what do you do?
Do interviews like today.
Well, we talking about work though. That's why I kind of asked this question to see, what do you do outside of it? Because for me, I ain't gonna lie, man. It's hard to step away, man. It's hard to step away with the things I do, especially when I have like a million things going on. But then you got your girl there and stuff like me. So balance is key.
Yeah, I am married. It's me and my wife. No kids. A couple cats here and around the house. One thing we love to do is like to go out to eat. We don't spend too much money or do any kind of crazy, because we're always have to be close to the studio. So we'll spend that money on fine dining and stuff. So, we get to try all the different restaurants in the city. That's definitely a fun thing we do on our Fridays. And then, I take 2 days off, but, probably one of my biggest mistakes I could have done was buy a home studio, because now I'm finding myself working now more on my days off. But, I just get it done early in the day.
I said, sorry about that, because I know I always hit you up on a day off. Like, listen, I need this mix.
No, man. I mean, that's why I do it. Because otherwise I don't want you waiting 3 months. Nah, I'm not booked that far out, but, waiting a month or, up to a month to fix a song, I'd rather, I have the same setup here that I have pretty much at both my studios. So I can literally just take the session home, open it up, and work right away without having to do too much. Have the same plugins, same, a lot of the same analog stuff. So yeah, I got it, set up where the transition is smooth.
Copy. So from the time you started engineering to where Executive Studios was born, what was that time frame in between? What you want to say, like 10, 15 years?
When
you decided to say, yo, I want to be an engineer to where Executive Studios was born. What was that time frame in between?
There was don't forget, there was a time frame from after Artist to where I was producing, and that time frame only was probably about 2 years, and that was from probably like end of 2007 going into I'd say go into like 2010. So I'd say 3 years just straight. That's when you heard all my beats and stuff like that. I wanted to be a producer. Like I said, very tough to make money doing it, just because there's so much free beats out there. Artists don't want to pay right on the spot for a beat. They want to make a song to it first and then decide to pay. And to do that for a living would be very hard. And still at that time, I still had a regular job supporting that. And then when I transitioned into the engineering, just because I was just getting a very overwhelming amount of people asking me to record them, because I was already talented with Pro Tools. So just to find anybody that was good at Pro Tools, that, it was already kind of like a 1 out of 1,000, you know what I'm saying? And then I was pretty good at it just due to producing. So I knew how to, do some tricky stuff, stutter effects. I was like probably one of the first ones in Tampa doing all the crazy stuff you hear on Nicki Minaj's records. I was doing that in 2010, 2011. And, yeah, man, helped build a name for me. And then I would say from that time is when like I said, I started like actually doing it for a living, 2010, and, working out of an actual professional studio. That was a jingle studio, but I kind of fitted it for like more hip hop subwoofers, better preamp for, vocals and stuff like that. So that was like in the middle of 2010. Then I had the phase where I worked for Red Lounge for 2 years. That was in 2011, I would believe, because it was 1 year there, 1 year, 2011, 2013. End of 2013 is when Executive Studio existed. In fact, November of 2013 is when I decided, and I've already met my wife, who is, super like business oriented. I mean, she played a major role in making this happen, because I was just an engineer at the time. I know how to mix records. She knew how to create a business. So it was a no-brainer.
It was the missing link.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer. So we decided, hey, let's try to do this on our own. I have enough clientele. I've built up over years of doing it already. And yeah, man, took off like a rocket ship.
That's awesome, man. So what do you see? What's the future hold for Executive Sound Studio? Because I know you got the photography through your girl, and then you got the mixing going on. Like, what else do you want to add? Where do you see this going? Like in the next 5 years, so to speak. Like, where do you see Executive Sounds growing into?
I mean, there's two different directions we could take it. One could be expanding where we're at because, you know, we do a lot of business and we only have just 2 studios right now. And we were to add 2 more studios, create a facility where we can teach engineers, you know, because when you have more room, you could fit more things into those rooms to, you know, to make sense. Because there's no point of us trying to run a school right now because we're so busy, booked up with artists, you know. So having something like 4 studios, you know, you could have, you know, hire more engineers. I'm getting calls nonstop about people wanting to work over here, so I can bring in more engineers to generate more money for the studio. We can design a studio, like I said, for teaching on a certain day. And then, you know, then eventually get into probably more into the publishing and artist management side, because you're dealing with so many artists. You can pretty hand pick all the ones, you know, that can take off, go get signed to a label. And then, of course, the other direction is to expanding into other cities, working with the talent in different cities and having different locations, obviously finding trusted engineers to run the business from afar. Could be a headache. Don't know yet, but it's just one of those things that has been discussed before about the possibilities of making this thing bigger. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, shit. Well, I wish you the best of luck on that, man. So talk to me about some of these experiences you had with these artists, man, because I know you're dealing with a lot of artists, and especially in the Tampa world, you know, it's a lot of local artists really trying to get their claim to fame, you know, but a lot of them may not be as polished as the other, you know, multi-platinum Grammy-winning artists you work with. So what are some experiences that you dealt with that were, I want to talk about the good and the bad, right? So let's talk about some of the bad experiences you had with some artists, and where you can kind of shine the light on what they can take away from this mistake so they won't do it going forward. So tell me about a bad experience you had with an artist.
Artist?
In a recording session. You don't got to name names either, because I don't want you to.
No, of course not. I definitely will tell you, don't let an artist owe you money. Those are always going to be the worst. Is, hey, man, I'll pay you tomorrow in Cash App, and then their number changes. So, yeah, you know, that's one of the things I would always suggest is, you know, try to get your money up front as fast as possible. I mean, definitely get to, you know, if you are doing stuff on the back end, you know, hold on to the songs until they pay you, and don't send them their songs. Because once you do that, then you just... you gave away your leverage. You gave them all your leverage. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I would say to protect yourself as an engineer, because, you know, it's already hard to get credit the way producers and artists get credit on records. So I would always suggest, you know, man, you got to look out for yourself big time, because, you know, they're out to screw us guys all the time. Another thing I would say a bad situation. Don't let your artists get too drunk. Kind of, you know, you have to kind of play a bartender role and knowing when to say, hey, look, man, you guys are kind of getting past your limit here. Because that's when people start acting crazy, is when they, you know, you let them get too messed up in there. They start breaking stuff and puking everywhere. Now you got to clean it, because you don't expect them to clean their own puke. You know what I'm saying? Right. They're paying for studio time. You're their maid. You know what I'm saying? You're the manager.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta, and you have to. I mean, so try to keep an eye on that kind of thing. You know, whatever. I know it's tough because you can't like just pull and grab their bottle from them, but I would just make it known to say, hey, just let them know that you are aware of where they're at. Toxic, you know, their toxicity, I guess. You just want to just make sure that, you know, nothing in your facility is going to get damaged because of their erratic behavior. So, you know, I've had a couple experiences with that, you know, even big art. And, you know, it's crazy. The bigger the artist, man, sometimes the crazier it gets. And it's not the artist. It's the homeboys, man. They're wild right now, man. They're hanging out with superstars. So they got to put on that show for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I hear you, man. What do you think the future holds for the Tampa music scene?
I mean, definitely good things are happening. I mean, it's just cool to see, you know, someone like Rod Wave, who, you know, was one of our artist that worked with us for about a good 3 years. He definitely, I mean, he blew up, man. The guy's multi-platinum. You know, he's hopping on records with all the stars. He's starting to, so stuff like that, I would, you know, it gives us hope to say, hey, look, it can be done. It's not like, okay, there's like this bubble over Tampa that's preventing us from just being like a, you know, blow up city. I mean, we'd love to be Houston where just one artist after another. But I think also the way the streaming world is and how people look for music, you definitely just have to have a presence online, and you're just going to have to, you know, get into whatever it's TikTok or any kind of app. You just have to kind of be a part of that whole phase. You just have to be in it, got to flow with it. And then you just, you know, when your time comes, man, you just you capitalize off of it. As soon as you get a song that starts catching wind, man, you got to ride it, man, because, you know, it's tough to even get in that position. So I just tell all the artists all the time, you know what I'm saying? And it's not really just, like I said, it's only a Tampa thing, just because the way the world is now, it's more of every individual artist is kind of almost for, you know, on their own. Definitely collab with other Tampa artists if you can, you know, especially if someone feels like they're doing good and they can help out someone that has a different sound and a different fan base. You track both fan bases together. But for the most part, like I said, it's your best shot at being successful in this music industry is to just make sure that you got all your, you know, get your Spotify has to be booming. You just have to have your IG booming. Everything just has to look like you're that guy, man.
And that's what I was going to touch on, because like you said, it has to look like you're that guy, you know, and all that can be manipulated now with the numbers, and you can pay for this and pay for that. Yeah. So it's like, how can you even tell? It's like you can't really tell who's good or not, because you assume that if they have a certain amount of followers or listeners that somebody thinks they're good, which kind of by default qualifies them as good. You know, I guess depending on your taste in music. What's your takeaway on that?
Well, I would say also you definitely have to have that song there. That's always going to be that undeniable. You know, once the people love the song, I mean, you can't manipulate that. Like, labels can easily see through the manipulation. So you can sit here and have like a bunch of fake followers and stuff up to 1 million followers, and you can look like you're doing big things. But at the end of the day, and I've seen it, you've obviously probably seen it 100 times, thousands of times, where this artist is like 100,000s of views, you know, but their music is just not doing anything on YouTube. It's not really moving. You're just like, okay, you know, what kind of, they're definitely manipulating something. But then you have someone like, I don't know if you heard of that new artist, that Moray guy, that Quicksand song. Like, the moment I heard about it, where people are just like, yo, what? I love this like, I'm seeing people on my timeline talk about this song. So when you have something like that happen, and it's kind of like, you just know that if I'm seeing this on my timeline, imagine how spread out this is right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, especially you start seeing like, you know, 10, 15 people talk about, yo, that new da-da-da song is jamming. When you see stuff like that, those are hints to say, this is going to be the next thing. And hey, I just heard it on the radio not too long ago. 1 second. Sorry, I heard wife yelling at the cats.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, man. Nah, that's what's up, man. And I like how you and your wife got the family business going together. You know what I'm saying? One hand washes the other, and you guys have been successful at it ever since, man. So that's definitely what's up, man. How'd you two meet?
You'd be surprised, but we actually through a dating website.
No, same here, man. Same here.
Hey, you know, you never know, man. Especially being stuck in the studio all day. I mean, what am I gonna do? Try to steal the rappers' girls? I mean, that's what they rap about.
Exactly, right?
they stole them from someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm stuck in the studio all day, so, you know, when I do go out to clubs and stuff and go to music showcases, you know, you try to meet some people there, but a lot of times they're all drunk, and, you know, those are not the type of right women that you're going to want to be associated with anyways, especially in the long terms. So, you know, you just, it kind of had that going on. I was going out when I could. And then, hey, I got the dating app. So, hey, it's connected to my phone. I could just be like, hey, what's up? And
hey. That's
yeah,
what's
man.
up. ChristianMingles.com.
We did. I took her out for hibachi for our first date. There you go.
It's all good. Hey, you better than me. I took her to Golden Corral.
Hey.
Oh man, nah, that's what's up, man. So tell me, is there anybody you like dream of working with, or like, you know, engineering a session? Like, who is this one artist that you just hope to work with one day?
Oh man,
I know there's so many,
but
but if it was top five, if any. I know there's many.
I ain't gonna lie, I got to work with both of my favorite childhood rappers. I got to work with Jadakiss and Styles P, and those were like one of my favorite rappers, you know, back in like 04, 05, man.
Same here. Shout out to Heavy Lyrics and Chris Streets. Those my boys right there.
Yeah. Shout out to them, man. They were the ones that brought them through. Mm-hmm. And then of course, one, I would say the first person who like really influenced me getting into the music game was probably Method Man. You know, because even before I was listening to a lot of hip hop, I would listen to like a mixture of like just rock music or whatever was just on the radio. And we're talking about me being like in 6th grade. I didn't really have it in like a certain genre. I just kind of liked whatever was on the radio. And then that's when Fred Durst came out with the, you know, Nookie and In Together Now.
Yeah.
Just the vibes of that, like hearing that on the radio when you're hearing, you know, you're an all-star, go play, hey now, you're an all-star, and then you hear all in together now. You're just I like this stuff. Hey, Luke, I'm going to go buy this album. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I just kind of got into it. And I listened to, you know, a mixture of Limp Bizkit on the rock side and then Method Man. And then I found out about Wu-Tang and then started listening to all the Wu-Tang. And, oh, look, you know, Busta Rhymes messes with Method Man and the Wu-Tang. Who's this Busta Rhymes guy just got on here and he was the best verse. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Go follow this Busta Rhymes guy, you know, bought all his stuff, you know, and then next thing you know, it's like, bam, I'm catching all the great parts of hip hop and becoming part of that history and learning about that. And it just spread, you know. I didn't really have like an early influence like most people did. You know, people are like, oh, I grew up 3 years old singing this, or, you know, my parents took me to this concert. Like, you know, my parents weren't really like musically inclined like that. You know, my dad had his own business, you know, working with dentists. And then my mom just had like a government job that she had to, you know, work up to get to where she's at now. You know, she got to retire beautifully. Love my mama. Hey, four master's degrees.
Ooh.
I know. I don't even have.
She set the bar high for you.
Yeah, I don't even have I don't have a bachelor's or nothing.
Yeah, you say, you know what? I'm gonna go the music route.
Yeah, I was the black sheep of the family for sure. You know, my other brothers, they both went to college, USF, and I was just like, I don't need school, man. I'm gonna be a rapper, man.
Right. I said the same thing, you know, and next thing you know, I got into sales. I still do it too. You already know, man. Sales is the bread and butter for me. I ain't going nowhere without that.
Yeah, I love my parents to death, but it was a very satisfying, I told you so, that I would do this music stuff. It was satisfying. They know. They know.
Nah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, it definitely feels satisfying, man. It's a scary road though, man, because you never really it's not really secure until you actually get those opportunities and get those accolades, and it takes so long to get there, man. So it's like you gotta have a certain amount of patience, certain amount of faith, and just certain amount of grind and belief that you can do this, you know what I'm saying, and apply everything you learn along the way, man. So I commend you for that, because, you know, I see you from the ground up, my brother, and now you got executive stands, you know what I'm saying? We're working on getting you a building and funding and all type of stuff. So, you know, it's been a long road, man. I'm definitely proud of you for that, man. That's amazing, man. For real.
I appreciate it, man.
Wait, how'd you link up with Plaza? Because I know, was Plaza one of like the first biggest artists you ever worked with? Was that like the first major?
Kind of. I mean, we've had like artists and stuff come through, you know, this during the Red Lounge phase. We did have a lot of artists and stuff that would come to the studio and get to work with them. I got to work with like Gucci Man and stuff, but he was like the first, like, you know,
a client,
almost like a normal client that would just come to, you know, work with me. I mean, obviously being in Tampa, it's not like, this is not where they live, you know? So just to have like the one, probably the only artist that, you know, that's on that level that had radio hits, you know, pick you out of all the other engineers and all the studios that he was, and even the ones he was currently working with. And a lot of that had to play, you know, just kind of timing, to be honest. Just happened to work with one of the artists that he signed, and the studio that, it was the second studio he started working out of, you know, I guess.
It was that young boy from Tampa, right? What was his name? Or it had an X in it, I think.
Yeah, Extra. Yeah.
Extra. Yeah. Shout out to Extra. He was cool.
Shout out to Extra. Yeah, he's a dope artist, man. Super dope. I love working with him. And at the time, I believe Plaza was going to a studio that did primarily like rock music. And I think when Extra got signed, he was telling him, hey, look, I'd rather record with, you know, my guy. He got my sound better. He understands hip hop better. And, you know, it's one of those things where the labels kind of just called me up and thinking it was another session for Extra. And yeah, here comes Flies, man. What's up, my guy? What's up, man?
That's
big
awesome,
fan of your
man.
work, sir. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, now you guys been working together for a minute, and all the stuff like, what's that one song, Ran Off on the Plug Twice? That was you, right? You mixed that record, right?
Sure. I don't think I did the final mix on it. I recorded it, did a lot of the arranging and stuff like that. And I want to say might have been Leslie. Shout out to Leslie who mixed it, because Leslie is obviously a huge legend and someone I definitely look up to. You know, he's doing all Cardi B stuff right now. So Uzi Vert, you name it. I mean, and he goes back to TLC days and the original Outcast. You know what I'm saying? All the Cash Money stuff.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself like retiring at? Because I remember you and I spoke the other day, and you was like, you know, you don't want to be old, 85 or 75, still mixing records. So like, I mean, but will you ever stop though? Like, because you love it so much, and this is like you said, you're in front of the computer, just kind of, you know, doing your 1-2 thing. Like, will you ever stop? What does the future hold for James Woods?
I don't know, man. I mean, right now I'm kind of just living for the moment, day to day. Yeah, I don't know if I will stop. I mean, as long as someone's willing to pay me for it, I'm not going to stop. I don't really know what else to do. I mean, I'm definitely trying. I'm looking in other avenues. You know, my wife is opening up other businesses. She got, you know, Sagewood Stone, which is online now, and shout out to her. Her designs and stuff are awesome. Got her a laser machine so she can engrave and, you know, make furniture and, you know, really cool stuff that she's getting into. She's still helping me run the business side of the studio. But, you know, I'm in there, man. You know, day to day, this is what I do. This is stuff people's like dreams and everything. And this is just, to me, this is just like my normal 9 to 5, you know? So it's like, I don't know what else I would want to do that would bring me the same kind of joy that I'm doing right now. I don't know.
You're basically doing what you love, man. Hey, you love what you do. It never feels like work, right?
The only thing that would take me away from it is winning the lottery, I guess. I mean, that's probably, and it'd have to be a lot of money for me just to completely walk away. But even if I got that kind of money, I would just still have the studio there, let my guys work out of it. And I would probably invest in a label, man. So I would still be around it in a way. I would probably just play a different position and, you know, and if it's my artist and I'm signing them and somebody messes up the mix, guess what? I'm putting my mixing hat back on. You know what I'm
saying? Right.
I'm going back in. We're going to get this right because I'm not going to put this on my name. I know what a good mix sounds like. I can definitely, that's another thing, is be able to have that ear to worry. I'm like, okay, you're a good engineer. Like, you know your stuff. So, you know, if there's any of those out there that really know their stuff, you know, hey, man, we can find a spot on it. I go say I'm just hiring. I don't want to put it out like that, but I am looking for someone that's very unique and special that can find their clients and run their own business right. And, you know, it's tough because, you know, to have all those features is not too many people like that, man.
I hear you, brother. Well, I mean, you know, if you can share any last piece of advice to any like up and coming artist, musician, you know, producer, engineer, you know, what words of encouragement or keys can you give them to really steer the course? Because like you said, man, it's a marathon. You know what I'm saying? We go through a lot of up and downs. You got to have a lot of patience, a lot of faith, and just belief. You know, even like you said, your mom's got like 4 master's degrees and all of that. She set the bar high, but you still went another route. And bet on yourself and you win. And so, share some jewels with the up and comers, man.
Man, I tell this to my guys all the time. You really, and this is, it's crazy to think this way, but if you do, you'll understand it. And when you apply it, you will definitely see the success right away. Is you would need to treat this, as much as you love it, you have to treat it like a sales job. You just have to think of it this way, though. You're selling something that people dream about. It's not before what be the last job I had before I became successful at what I was doing as an engineer, studio owner. Really, I have to bring it back and show my gratitude to my life insurance job that I worked while I was in my producer phase and getting into my engineering phase. Once I learned that, the sales pitches and learning how to start conversations, how to close on stuff. Somebody was trying to get out of a meeting, how to reschedule the meeting without letting them go away, how to market yourself. We used to go by the 5 ways of marketing. You have 2 passive and 3 active. Passive meaning it's just out there and you're waiting on someone to call you. The active one means I'm going to get in your face and talk to you about this or call you about this. Like I'm having interaction. I really just applied what I learned from that sales position, put it into the music, and it worked like this. Referral, I came up with a referral system. I did it by the books. So I would say anybody that's trying to get into music and trying to be successful at it, you have to understand at the end of the day, you have to sell what you want to do to somebody else to make money to do this for a living. At the end of the day, obviously, once you're good and your name's out there, then it's just, we call it the word of mouth phase where, I'm kind of currently at that right now. And it's such a blissful, I'd love it. I don't have to go out there and bust my ass to get in front of people and have to sit there and market. I just pretty much kind of do that just for my studio now to help my staff get bookings. But me, when I first started, like I said, I was out at every, I would just constantly go online, find all the promoters or any kind of events going on, any open mics. If there was a guitar, a band playing at this restaurant, I would go over there and I would talk literally to every single person that got off that stage, every single one. I would not let one person out that room. Everybody had my card. Everybody heard my spiel about what I do. I got this awesome studio. You get the cool pictures. You put it on the business card. You show them the website. This was stuff that I learned as a life insurance agent, and I just literally applied it to what I was trying to sell as a music engineer to the artist. But I got so many more yeses than the life insurance. Because, who wants to buy life insurance from a 25-year-old?
Yeah, like, what do you know about life?
Yeah, you ain't been through life. So yeah, but when you turn around and you say, hey, I got the studio that's going to turn you into a platinum artist.
Right.
You gotta sell them a little bit, but hey, that's what they want to hear, man. You guess what? We call it, we hit your, oh man, I can't remember it now. But we hit they had a word to describe it where you hit that like heartfelt moment where they're just like, yes. And it's easy to capture that when you're dealing with music, because there's so many people that love this. There's so many people have a passion for it. It's just it's like such a cool club to be in. Right. A lot of people, you got to think there's some artists, and I've talked to them, man, they said they're only artists because they can get girls. They said, before I became an artist, I couldn't get any girls. I became a rapper and I'd be getting all kind of girls. I'm just like, is that your only reason? Like, you're not trying to be successful at it? You're not trying to win a Grammy? You're not trying to be rich? Something, any other thing?
You're not trying to be rich, maybe?
They're like, nah, man. I just love the girls, man. I'm just like, oh. Well, you're gonna need to get better at it, because you're gonna need to get rich, because you gotta take care of these girls and their babies and all your baby mamas.
He said you're gonna need to get better at it. Now that's funny as hell, man. So that's what's up, my brother. Well, let people know where they can follow you, where they can acquire your services. Oh, before we do that, do you plan on getting back into producing at all?
I've talked about it. I like to work with the producers that are, shout out to, man, Jay Swift, he's killing it. And then my boy Trey Made the Beat, he's killing it. Shout out my boy Javon, Joe Blow. His beats are hard as hell. So these guys are getting their stuff out there.
Yeah, Titus. That's my people's right there.
Yeah, that's who I'm actually meeting up at the studio right now as soon as we get off this call, man.
Oh yeah, tell them what's up, man.
Yes, you already know.
They know me as Clubs.
Clubs. I remember that rap name. Yeah, you changed your rap name once on me, huh?
Yeah. You know, people still call me. As soon as I go to Tampa, what up, Clubber, the youngster, and all that. You know.
Yeah.
It is what it is, though. But yeah, go ahead, though.
We got to do a Saltine and Clubs album,
right?
A little James or something.
Yo, that's funny as hell, man. So what kind of people following you, man? That do sound like a sitcom. That's crazy.
Yeah, definitely just follow. We got the Instagram is probably the biggest one. Executive Studios Official. And then I got my own personal one, which is James McSurgeon on IG as well. Our website, www.executive-studios, because, the guy who owns that name right now wants a lot of money for it, but it's cool. We'll get it one day. www.executive-studios. And then, like I said, Executive Studios Official IG. Trying to think if we're on any other platform other than that. I mean, yeah, I'm on Clubhouse.
How you like that? How you like Clubhouse?
It's cool, man. There's some rooms that are really dope. Shout out to Big Lou. He got a really cool room in there that he co-hosts with Nico, the assistant for Dave Pensato, called Industry Swap Meet. And yeah, man, we get on at 10:30 and Monday through Friday, man. Get in there, man. It's a really cool. You'll meet some of the biggest engineers in there, biggest producers, guys that have multiple Grammys, and it's just cool to really you're sitting there and just talking to them, man. Like you just met them at the bar, as equals. It's really cool. And these are like guys you would look up to, and you're just like, hey man, they're in here spitting game. You know what I'm saying? You get to learn from the best of the best. So
yeah. Now I be on that Clubhouse. I'm usually in the entrepreneur rooms and the domain flipping rooms, just kind of trying to get all that information, and apply it as much as I can. But
I need to get in down. I need to get in the stock one, man. I need to get in I'm always like one day behind those things, man. I'm like, let me get in this, and then it starts going down.
You got to jump on Reddit, man. Follow Wall Street Bets, man. That's who's giving.
I just did that this morning. Me and Brandy just started following that. We're tired of being one step behind, man, because that one step behind, you trip. It's a big fall. It's a long fall.
Yeah, man. Actually, I made a couple of dollars on the GameStop surge that happened just now. Following that Wall Street Bets. Yeah. So just stay on top of it, man. Stay on top of it. That's where it's at, man. But we'll talk about more about that offline, man. But I want to thank you for being on the show, man, for gracing me with your presence, man. You know what I'm saying? You one of my guys, man. I got mad love for you forever. You already know you do a lot for me, man. So thank you for believing in me and helping me out with the endeavors that I'm choosing to take on with my life. So, again, thank you for coming on the show today. I appreciate your presence, man. It's been another episode of Sleepers for Billionaires, the podcast. My man James Woods, Jonni Vegaz. Make sure you like and subscribe to your channel. Make sure you go ahead and get you some of this good old merch. Get some Executive Sound hoodies as well. You see him rocking it over there. Stay tuned for more episodes to come. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, double salute.
You already know, my brother. Hold on. Bam.
I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 million every week. I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 billion every week. I wanna be a billionaire. Billionaire. I wanna be a billionaire. Billionaire. I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 billion every week. I ain't gonna be a friend. I just came to handle business.